My name is Isaiah. I am an aspiring software engineer, full stack software developer, whatever you want to say. I like to code. I'm a Christian. I am also a recovered alcoholic, right? Which means that at one point I used to drink a lot, and that's a whole nother, story arc there. But I'm sober. I've been sober for years now. The reason that I say that, and I don't hide it and try to, present myself in a better light, which is, I think, human nature, is very simple. It's because there are plenty of people in this world who are struggling with addiction or alcohol, or whatever you want to say, and they hide it, right? Because that's actually one of the symptoms of alcoholism or addiction. They hide it. They could be your mother, your dad, your brother. You wouldn't know because they could be hiding it, or you may know them, right? So I say that because I'm sober today. I struggled with it at one point, and there might be people out there who are looking for a way to get sober. And I kind of just, basically, long story short, I say that to be like, yo, like, I have a way that might work for you. That's it. So I just kind of put myself out there. I feel like that's my duty to do it, because if there wasn't other people who were also open about their alcoholism and how they got sober and whatnot, I don't know where I'd be. So I'm a recovered alcoholic. It's not the point. It's just a important part of who I am. So the purpose of this channel is just to document my progress as a full stack software developer, right? The process. I like to code. I've had so many, jobs from the age of 16 when I had my first job. Today I'm 35, right? I've had a lot of jobs and none of them have ever clicked, right? Again, if you guys want to hear more about that, comment it. I might make a video about it, but none of them have ever clicked. Long story short, my wife actually brought home, I think she got it for herself years ago, like maybe 5 years ago, this book about coding. It was HTML and CSS. And then there was a book she had on JavaScript, and I forget the exact book. If I can find a picture of the exact books, I'll put them somewhere on the screen. But so I started looking at it and I liked it. It was like a light switch clicked inside of me. Like, I actually enjoyed it. Whereas most jobs, and by jobs, I mean unskilled jobs, so to speak, right? Like, grocery stores, this company, that company. I don't want to get too specific. Like I said, if you guys want to hear more, just comment it in the video. But I've had a lot of jobs, and I get to the month where it's like 6 months or so, and I start to feel like I'm dying. Like, I start to feel like internally, I can't explain it. It's a suffering that I feel like other people, or most people that I experience, don't experience, you know what I mean? And I say they don't experience it just based on my interactions with them. It seems like they're, relatively content. For me, it's just, man, because it kind of like I get in there, I learn the job, I try to learn more, but as we all know, there's like a box. Like, this stuff is pertinent to your job. This is what you learn. This is what you train on. And the duration of your shift is spent on those things. So you can't go to your boss and be like, hey, can you show me what the inventory process looks like, right? I mean, obviously there's some places where they will answer those questions and teach you those things, but for the most part, my experience, you can't do that. You can't just be like, hey, I want to understand the inventory process, or how do you guys pay taxes? Like, what does your tax process look like? Or how much do you pay all of your employees? They're not going to tell you that. Or what do you guys pay for health insurance? And who do you guys use as manufacturers? Like, most companies, they're not going to tell you that stuff if you're just, flipping burgers or something like that. They're not going to tell you that. And for me, I need to learn. It's like this hunger that I have to learn new things and to make progress and to move forward. So I would get to these jobs about 3 to 6 months in, depending on the job. I learned the job, and then and at first it's okay because I'm learning, and then we hit this wall where it's like, okay, now I'm doing my job, and then it becomes, I'm basically just doing time, right? I'm not learning anything anymore. I'm still trying to, but again, they're not, most companies, or a lot of companies that I have worked for, are not going to give you time to study certain things when the business is open and they need you over here, which is understandable. I understand that. But it's kind of like I start to feel like I'm dying, for lack of better words. I don't know if that's just figuratively speaking, but it feels like intense internal suffering. It's more like an emotional, cognitive suffering. And it's difficult to explain, but it becomes like doing time. Now I'm just here from start to finish. I want to learn more. I can't. I want to make progress. I can't. And, as far as promotions or anything like that, that is completely based on someone else. And someone else being ready, or in a position being available. So it's kind of like I can't keep learning and I'm not growing anymore. So I end up leaving and finding another job. But the reason I brought up that, once I got the books, it was like a light switch clicked. It was like, man, I think I could get good at this, right? I think that this is it. There's something here. Flash forward, life gets in the way. Obviously, I have to deal with other stuff. At that time when I found it, I was still in active alcoholism. So, I was still being tossed to and fro, back and forth, and kind of dealing with that. But the light was still on, right? So flash forward a couple years later or whatever, I kind of get back into it. And now at this point, the whole coding landscape had increased. It matured. There was a huge, everybody's trying to be a software developer, getting hired. And now we know that, a lot of people are getting laid off, and it's not what it was. But at that point, that's when I found ZTM, and I started ZTM, the full stack developer course that I'm going to be using now. And I learned that I started doing that course, and to me, it was a lot better than the book, but that light was still there, and the complexity, you're HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and that's cool. But then when you get to JavaScript, it's like, whoa, like this is not as easy as I thought it was. And you start learning that, but I like the complexity. It's as if there's like a piece of my brain that was always there, but it was never put in the right circumstance. I was never put in a circumstance in which I could realize that it was even there. Anyways, you get the point of what I'm saying. I like the code. I like complexity. I like the difficulty. I like the challenges. The whole programming process seems like a puzzle to me, right? I'm still a beginner, but thus far, it seems like a puzzle that continues to build in complexity, and there's no end goal. You're not going to learn everything and then start doing time. It's like there's more to learn. You can learn data structures and algorithms. You can learn JavaScript on the back end. You can learn a whole entire other programming language. You can dive deeper into databases. You can dive deeper into object-oriented programming, etc. You can just keep learning and keep growing. And for me, man, I'm rambling now, so that's something with this channel. I will ramble, and I will choose whether or not I leave it in. I will ramble. It's something I do. I go on these mental rabbit holes because I have a lot of interest, and these things interest me. So it is what it is. If I cut it, I cut it. If I don't, I don't. So yeah, that's the purpose of the channel. Is I just want to document the process from wherever it is that I am now to wherever it is I want to be, right? Wherever that is. So yeah. And lastly, the process. So basically, I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible. I'm gonna be using a lot of AI, right? I know some people feel certain ways about it. They feel how they feel. That's fine. I'm gonna use AI because I don't have the time or the money to go spend $60,000+ on a 4-year college degree. I would love to be able to do that. I'm not in that position right now. It is what it is. Is that something that you should share online? I don't know. I said it, it's true. So we're not going to hide from the truth here. But yeah, I would love to. I started CS50 a while back. Life came up. I wasn't able to actually finish it. So that's kind of on my list to actually do CS50. It was pretty difficult. But I liked it. Again, I liked it, so I plan on doing that. Started rambling again. So the process is very simple. I'm going to use AI, specifically probably a lot of Claude Code, to review my code. If I run into a bug that I'm just unable to figure out on my own, maybe put it through there and have it explain the answers. I'm not doing copy paste, right? I'm not doing that. The goal is to learn and understand. I don't just want the answer. I want to understand why the answer works. I want to understand why my solutions may have not worked. Like I want to understand and this is all theoretical because I'm close to the beginning of this whole journey. It's all theoretical, but my theory is just that all of that is more valuable. Is the why behind everything is more valuable than being able to write a line of code. I see the code as the grammar, right? But I think that it's really important to understand why. So long story short, I'm not going to be copying and pasting the answers. I will use. So on the screen, you'll see me referencing what looks like a completed app, or what sometimes might be, but really it will be an image generated through ChatGPT or some other AI model, or an actual just completed app that I used AI to generate. But I'm coming up with the concepts, I'm coming up with the ideas, or sometimes I'll collaborate with AI and come up with ideas for projects for the purpose of learning. I'm not a designer, so I absolutely will be using AI to come up with designs. I cannot pay somebody every single time I want to come up with a to-do list, or I don't know, as problems grow in complexity, which that is the goal, right? To start simple, learn, and just kind of grow, right? Expand. So I'm going to be using it for designs. I'm going to be using it maybe to get a rough mock-up of the app, but I'm going to code the app from just using the app or the image as a reference to what I want to build, to try to basically duplicate it without looking at it. I don't know if I'm going to document this, but I will be reading the code in the app, just because I want to see. The easiest way to put this is, for instance, let's say JavaScript, right? I know a little bit of JavaScript. I don't know a lot. I know a little bit, very little. Right? I got to the point where I could build a to-do list using local storage that saved real time. If I had to do that right now without referencing anything, I couldn't do it because it's just been a little bit of time. So, but I did get to that point, so I could probably get back there faster. The reason that I'm saying that is that's how much I know. But local storage, for instance, you can think all you want on how to get something to save to local storage, but there are keywords that are already in the JavaScript language that you use to do anything with local storage. If you don't know them, you can think all you want. Again, from where I'm at right now, you can think all you want and try to figure it out and put all the mental effort into it, but if you don't know the keywords, if you don't have the key, you're not going to open the lock. Which is why I think reading code is good. I can see how it's structured if it's clean code. I can be introduced to new keywords that I wouldn't have found otherwise, or I would have had to wait to a certain project that requires me to use it to to be exposed to that keyword. Here I can read it. I can read and try to follow the logic. I can be introduced to new keywords, things of that nature, which I think in theory, again, it's theoretical, that will boost my knowledge 100 times. I don't know where that came from. It will boost my knowledge a lot faster reading code and writing code at the same time. Now, what I will not be doing is reading the code and then copying the code. That's useless. We're not learning anything. What I will do is when I'm stuck on a problem, I don't know, for what I deem to be too long, because the rabbit hole here, I don't believe in spending hours and hours and hours and hours on one problem when the answer is literally there. And because again, it's possible that you don't have the key. You don't know something that you need to know in order to do this. So looking it up is actually faster, right? I don't believe in copying. I believe in reading the code, understanding the code, and then taking that understanding and reproducing it yourself and doing that as many times as necessary until you internalize it. But as far as copying, I'm not copying. I will read the code, but the whole goal is to internalize it. It might sound like I'm everywhere right here. I might really be everywhere right now. It is what it is. I hope that you understand what I'm saying is I'm not copying, pasting. I'm actually in this to actually learn and grow, but I will be reading the code to see their logic, see the logic of the AI, to understand why I was right, to be introduced to new things, etc. So that's the goal. There's no set number of projects here. As I'm growing as a developer, I will also be growing as a video editor. And the style and format of videos and how I structure everything will also grow because that's a lot of work on a whole another side, the whole making the videos, making the thumbnails and stuff like that, because I also utilize AI for some of that, but I use Figma. So basically anything that you see on a thumbnail or a title, I have learned how to do that on my own, right? Because it's just important to me to not be too reliant on other technology, which is why I'm not just jumping straight into using React. I want to understand JavaScript. I don't want to just jump into something else and not understand it. With the CSS, you might see me using just vanilla CSS and not using Tailwind, but that's because I want to understand the fundamentals before I rush and move on. I'm not in a race. The purpose of starting this channel is not to get a job, although if opportunities present themselves, I would be open. I just like the code. I want to document it. And the biggest thing, and I didn't mention this yet, is I had an idea back when, I got the coding bug, and it was to make a Spanish language learning app, right? And that's still like part of the grand goals here. I already have a lot of ideas for it. In the background, I'm working on the actual method itself, right? But I need to learn the code to be able to actually write it. I don't have the money, and I definitely don't want to just pay somebody else to do it. I want to do it because I like the code and I like learning languages, so they combine. So that's kind of like my baby. So stay tuned, and we're working up to building that. First project is a portfolio, which is what we're going to put every other project in. I have no idea how this can be. This is 18 minutes now, this video. I'll probably cut it down, so you guys will probably see a video a lot shorter. Who knows? I'm going to leave in what I leave in. I'm going to post whenever I post. There's no set schedule. We'll get better as we go. Stay tuned.